state winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 6th of December 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am GK, and in case you missed the headlines, here they are. In Daily Nation, why Uhuru is troubled and angry. In the Star, 66% unsure Uhuru will back RUTO poll. And in the Standard, BBI storm as RUTO allies defy Uhuru.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
I think first we should look at the headlines of tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
It seems our very own Nairobi County Governor, Mike SONKO, has been arrested.
Yes.
In a very
Dramatic.
Hollywood-like.
I know. The
Absolutely.
video is incredible.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you have started with the movie things. Because our what do you call them? Our fellowship of law, brotherhood of law.
All right.
I think they were trained by Steven Spielberg. Is that his name?
Yes.
Yes, they have made this arrest of Mike SONKO very dramatic.
Yes.
Using-
Full of action.
Full of action.
Helicopters,
choppers,
Pajeros.
Highway chases.
convoys, and
Yes.
all that. And then now the man, I've seen him at EACC. And
Yes, but he was nabbed at in Voi.
Yeah, in Voi.
And then taken towards.
Where
the
was he
airstrip.
going?
What was he doing there?
Was he trying to...
Maybe I have no idea where he was trying to escape to.
Do you think he was crossing the border to Tanzania?
Maybe. However, he said that he wasn't.
Yes.
That's what he claims,
That's
right?
what-
In a statement that he made.
I mean, he should.
But
He would not have said I was.
Yes.
Yes.
However, I think that SONKO needs to take some lessons from some of the best criminals in the world on how to successfully evade the authorities.
Absolutely.
How
And
to
I think
escape.
the person he should have learned from is El Chapo,
Okay.
Yes.
the biggest Mexican drug cartel leader.
Guzman.
Yes.
Yes.
Leader of the Medellin.
No.
Sinaloa cartel.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you a story. Now, this man, El
He was
Chapo,
arrested in...
I don't know he was arrested, but he was actually locked up in a jail in Brazil. Now, as he's locked up, he's staying in this cell. Now, El Chapo employs some of the finest architects and structural engineers. So one of those guys, they hatched a plan, and they hatched a plan to release him from prison and have him escape prison. Now, they went not too far away from the prison where he was being jailed
1
at.
mile away.
Well, about a mile away,
Yeah.
and they went and they said, "Oh, we are going to construct some thing, a farmhouse, not too far, a mile away from the prison."
Yeah.
Now they went and they brought all the Mjengo things there. They brought their kokoto and their sand. Now the plan was this: there was a covert and an overt plan.
Yeah.
The covert plan was to build a tunnel that would link all the way to El Chapo's prison. Now El Chapo from there, and by the way, this tunnel by the way was going to be fixed and to be fitted with oxygen tanks and light, and it would also have a rail system that operated like a motorcycle.
A motorcycle, yeah.
Now once El Chapo gets away from his cell
Yeah.
and comes down all the way, he would be transported
On the
by this
motorbike.
motorcycle-like structure all the way to this farm structure.
Yeah.
Of which then he could come up and escape.
And
Come
escape.
up and escape. Now, the Mexican authorities had no idea this was happening.
Yes.
Now, on the day of escape, this guy, because they had put a camera in his cell,
It's so funny because if you watch the video footage,
Yeah.
now you see him,
Now
now
you
you
don't.
don't.
He just
He walks, he
disappears.
turns into the shower, gone.
it was actually a toilet. They thought he was going to the toilet, so they thought he was hurrying for like 1 hour or 2 hours.
Pardon
But
your friend.
The guy, he went downstairs.
Never came back.
He went to the tunnel, took that piki thing,
Yeah.
went to that farmland, and off he went.
I
And
guess,
yes,
the
and I think,
confirmation
yeah.
is that SONKO is not smart.
Yes, and also I think there's lessons that SONKO could have learned from Guzman.
Yes.
Yeah.
In order for Guzman to escape, he didn't do it alone.
Yes.
Because he was stuck in that cell.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
SONKO should have enlisted the rescue team cartel for his safe passage.
Yes.
Yeah.
He should have co-opted
Yes.
the state.
Yes.
Pay these people.
I know.
Demolish EACC and the building.
Actually-
whatever it is.
Actually, probably the worst mistake SONKO did
Yes.
is have a state operative that are his bodyguards chill around him. They're the
Yeah.
ones who snitched on him.
Exactly. He was far too
Yes.
obvious.
If I was him, I would have driven a Toyota Carina, went all the way to Ruaka
Yes.
in a woman's wig, entered a house, stayed all weekend.
Exactly.
As his lawyers are making or applying for anticipatory orders, and then show up on Monday and say, now you can arrest him.
Yeah.
Because he will not sleep in prison.
Yeah. I also think, he shouldn't have resisted arrest once he was found. The
That's
fact
true.
that you have all these policemen sort of swarming around him
Yes.
and not being able to just
Yes.
put him in the helicopter was
Yeah.
very strange.
Yes.
But what was his end game? I don't know what he thought would happen by
Yes.
fighting back at the police.
So I came across this quote when going through this.
Yeah.
Malcolm X once said, to have once been a criminal
Yeah.
is no disgrace.
Yes.
But to remain a criminal is a disgrace.
Yes.
So we all know Sonko's story. He's come from this rags to riches background.
Yeah.
You would think that
Yeah, he would be able to know.
get his act
his-
together.
his way around.
Anyway, in law, you're innocent until
Till
you're
proven
proven
guilty.
guilty.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
guess let's see.
I will say,
Yeah.
I didn't vote for that guy. He's
No,
not
no,
my
no.
governor.
No, let me
I'll
tell
be
you.
quite honest about that.
One Mike Sonko has what you call high gangster index.
Gangster, yeah, he's a real...
And let me tell you, these guys in Mukuru kwa Jenga, Mukuru kwa Yaba, Kibera,
We'll be
these guys-
celebrating.
No, they will come out and say and demand for his release.
for their governor.
Yeah.
No,
but-
celebrating him, I mean, yeah.
Yes, celebrating him. But let me tell you, there's a group we have to go at. And this is the Brotherhood of Law. And I'm not scared, I will say it. This Haji thing of arresting people on Friday so that they sleep in cell on Saturday and Sunday. And the person who used to do that was his father.
Yeah. He learned
He's-
from-
He learned.
Yusuf Haji, when he was PC, there's this thing called Msako. They arrest people on Friday because they know the court will be closed on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And then they let people
He's still
sleep.
in cell.
Yeah.
Let me it is very archaic. Those are
Yes.
things that happen in banana republics.
This is true.
Yeah,
but
you-
this is
you-
a point for Uhuru, I think, and for the Jubilee government, because
Yeah.
it shows that no matter what side of the political divide you fall in, because Sonko, for all intents and purposes, is very much pro-Jubilee and
Yeah.
pro-Uhuru.
Yeah.
If you've
Yeah.
been doing some
Dodgy
shady
Dodgy
things,
things. But-
your day will come.
But do you think this is part of Uhuru's plan to disband the county government and have Nairobi
Yeah.
operate under
It could
the
be.
central government?
Yeah. If
Well,
it is,
it was,
yeah.
and it was in BBI, part of the recommendations,
Also,
wasn't it, right?
yes.
Wait, so who is our governor? Just as we finish.
We don't know. There's no deputy governor.
Yeah.
But that is genius of Sonko. Fantastic. Don't even appoint one. Even when they release you, remain as governor. Don't appoint one. And
Right.
if they do whatever, don't appoint one.
Well, we normally have a 3-part criteria, but we've spent quite a bit of time talking about the governor.
Yeah.
However, we can look at the Daily Nation
Yeah.
as we toss the other two.
Oh, yes, most
The
definitely.
host has made a veto decision. Why Uhuru is troubled and angry, and I think it's based off the remarks that he has been making recently, where he seems pretty livid.
Yeah.
However, as Prof. Mutahinguni tweeted, if someone is in your bedroom, you would
Would
be a
you
little
not be
bit
angry as well?
You would be a little bit angry.
He said, yeah, what is Ruto doing in his bedroom? That's why Uhuru is angry.
Yeah.
That's why Gema is
Yeah,
rebelling.
but I on my part, Uhuru shouldn't be angry. A little rebellion is good
It's good.
medicine for government.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
true.
I agree.
So on that note,
I
do
think
we have a winning headline?
I don't think we
give
have
it
a
to-
winning headline, but I think we're anticipating tomorrow's headline.
Yes.
And I think our preferred headline would be
How
Sonko
Sonko
should have
should have
escaped.
Fantastic.
There you go. So onto the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country,
Chase architect. Yeah.
where we also have a 3-part criteria that we use. We ask ourselves, is it humorous or dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And is it effective or just plain lazy?
Yes. And here you have
Victor Ndula.
Victor Ndula, caricature of ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, and is in amongst a bunch of books and papers and transcripts. And next to him is Nguna. And the caption there is a strategy of a Raila book after every political fallout. I think Ndula has been watching us because that's exactly what we said.
Yeah, I think I said that yesterday.
Yes. And Musalia has come out with all manner of revelations, all the way
His
from
book.
Moi days to Kibaki days and now. And
Soaring above the storms of passion.
yes, and I said there is no way he comes out at this time without him having a plan.
There's
And
a strategic
there's a
reason.
strategic reason, and the strategic reason, in my view, he wants to be the compromise candidate of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga.
Meanwhile, do we like the cartoon or no?
I think
It's
it's quite boring.
Okay.
It's a quick one.
So we have Gado. Gado there's a table, and sitting on one side is Boris Johnson, the British PM. And we have some African leaders. We have the Prince, Uhuru Kenyatta. We have Captain Kashunat, Mr. Magufuli. We have a very tall Kagame. and we have
Kaguta
Museveni.
Yes.
And they're saying Africa is concerned that your elections are not going to be free, fair, transparent, and credible. Magufuli is saying, or the caricature, there are reports that there has been blatant harassment of the media and civil society. And Museveni is saying, not to mention that your human rights record is appalling. And Kagame is saying, constant intimidation and molestation of the opposition.
I love this cartoon.
So who is giving who advice?
Reverse roles. Reverse
Most
roles.
definitely, I love it.
Reverse roles. But who would
The
have
irony is that some of these people have gone through some of these things that they're
But no,
accusing.
I think it's very fair that, if they're going to call us out, we should be able to call them out as well. In fact, we should send an African mission to go observe their election.
Right?
Yes, there's no privileged point of view. And you see how they've drawn Boris here. His hair, he can barely see because his hair is blocked in. But you see, look, if you get the Trumps and the Borises of this world, and it's very unconventional to operate in the Western world as it is right now because you have leaders that behave like African dictators, and it is only fair that we get our own dictators mirroring and asking them questions because they are behaving exactly the way our dictators used to behave.
I mean, just like they say in that book, The Bad Samaritans, right? These guys, they say, do as we say, not as we
I
do.
do.
Yeah. So shall we pack it?
Yes.
Let's see what is in the stack.
Aha. Oh my God. All right. Now, you have caricature of the president himself, Uhuru Kenyatta. Fuming. And this is a depiction of road rage. He's in a car, and he's blocked the car driven. It's a Tanga car because his pony is labeled Tanga. I think it is RUTO who is driving it. And the road is to BBI. Uhuru has come out and he's angry, and And Ozone is trying to depict a president who is angry at the smallest provocation.
Again in reference to that Daily Nation headline.
Yes, and I agree with you guys. I think the president should allow some debate on this thing because if he has said that this is an agenda, this should
for the country,
then people will have divergent opinions. There is no privileged point of view. Let people discuss this as they wish. Because there's one country called Kenya full of how many people? 48 million people? 48 million people. We cannot have the same brain, all of us.
All right, so which cartoon are we picking? Is it Gado?
I go with Gado.
I go with Uhuru. Okay, I go with Gado.
Yep. All right, I will toss that then.
You brought yourself. There we have a winning cartoon from Gado. What is our final thought?
Now, our final thought. It is inspired by a book entitled A Short History of Drunkenness by Mark Fawcett. We're going to Friday.
Yep, we're going to Friday.
It's very apt.
It is. What is the conclusion of this week, though?
Yes, let me give you a summary. Sorry about that, I almost forgot. So this week we've been looking at cultural anthropology, the branch concerned with the study of human societies, cultures, and their development.
Yes.
So on Monday we looked at BS jobs, a theory by David Graeber, a powerful argument against the rise of meaningless, unfulfilling jobs and their consequences. On Tuesday, we did The Lies That Bind, Rethinking Identity by an African author, Kwame Anthony Appiah, where we explored identity and who we think we are. The book looks at gender, religion, race, nationality, and culture, and how such affiliations give contours to our sense of self and shape how we behave. On Wednesday, we looked at why did the chicken cross the world? The epic saga of the bird that powers civilization. We learned how the history of the chicken has been crucial to the spread of civilization across the globe. We learned that for every human being, there are 3 chickens. And only one place in the world has no chickens, Antarctica. And that was to protect the penguins from disease.
Yes.
But also the impact of chicken on politics, economics, language, and social stuff.
Right.
On Thursday, we looked at 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari, which was a probing and visionary investigation into today's most urgent issues. He discusses war, stories, terrorism, ignorance, and he says, if you cannot afford to waste time, you will never find truth. And today we're doing drunk people. Drunkenness.
A short history of drunkenness. How, why, where, and when humankind has gotten merry from the Stone Age to the present by Mark Fawcett, written in 2018.
Yes.
So Mark Fawcett is a best-selling writer whose work concerns the meaning and etymology of English words. Etymology is the origin of where a word comes from. So his focus mainly is on obscure and out-of-use words. So So there's a word that he actually tried to bring back into politics, in the discussion, and the word is snollygoster. A snollygoster is a politician who is guided by personal advantage rather than consistent and respectable principles. I think in Kenya we have quite a few snollygosters.
I have some in mind, but I'll keep quiet.
So this book is a humorous and informative look at alcohol and man in history and geography. So almost every culture on earth has alcohol. And where there's alcohol, there is drunkenness.
And fun.
And fun. But in every age and every place, drunkenness is a little bit different. So it can be religious, it can be an offering to ancestors, or it can mark the end of a day's work. It can send you to sleep, but it can also send you to battle. So Forsyth traces our love affair with booze from our primitive ancestors all the way to prohibition, answering every possible question along the way. What do people drink? How much? Who did the drinking? And why? So I think I'll just give a few of the tidbits that he goes through as he talks about the history of drunkenness. So he says that the Aztecs disapproved of drunkenness. And the punishment for those who were caught drunk was public strangulation. However, if you were an aristocrat, you would be strangled discreetly in the privacy of your home. He says that there's no word in Italian for hungover, but he actually says that there is, but nobody uses it. And that's because no Italian man would ever admit to being hungover.
It's taboo.
It's taboo. And I feel like Kenyan men might have that same thing. You don't want to admit to people that the alcohol got to you.
Did you point at me?
It acted upon you.
Exactly. Yes, I pointed at you. The ancient Parisians when they had to make an important decision, they would debate it twice. Once when drunk and once when sober. If they came to the same conclusion both times, they knew it was a good idea and they therefore acted upon it.
Wow.
In ancient China, people got drunk in order to communicate with the spirits of their ancestors. So they would get drunk and then, I don't know, in a drunk fuel, they'd be like our ancestors. In the 18th century, London gin makers used to flavor their gin with sulfuric acid to give it a kick.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Isn't that bad for you?
But I guess they really wanted to get drunk. Isn't it maybe like changa?
But it did not kill them, though.
No, it did not kill them. And we know that London makes some of the best gin.
So that means it's good for them.
Exactly. That's just a few of the tidbits that you get in the book. I would recommend everyone reads it.
Very interesting. So he talks about, in one of his chapters, why people drink. So he says there's what is called transitional drinking. Basically where you're drinking to move from one state to another. Drinking to mark the end of a working day, like you mentioned, or the working week, like today, Friday night, most people will go out, have their drinks. But if you're a member of the Suri tribe of Ethiopia, you drink to mark the beginning of work. So, of the workday. And as they say...
So 8 o'clock?
Yes. Where there is no beer, there is no work.
Let's go to Ethiopia.
And people also drink at different things. Christenings, baptisms, you drink at marriages, birthdays, even libations at funerals. And each time the drink means something. It means that an old state of affairs is gone and a new wobblier one is coming or has come. And he talks of how, for instance, the Teso tribe of Kenya has a ritual for naming babies. So your grandmother or whoever would put her finger in beer and put it in the baby's mouth as when they say the name. And if the baby sucks on the finger, that's the name you get.
The baby has approved.
And they'll keep doing this up until
the baby bites. It says
Or the Tiriki tribe, which I think is up in Kericho or Kalenjin or sub-tribe of Kalenjin. They pour their beer on the ancestors' graves just in case. You don't know, but periodically they'll go to the graves and pour some beer. And however, there's also what he says that people started drinking because there was nothing better to do.
He actually says in the book that 9,000 years ago we invented farming so that we could grow barley, so that we could make beer.
So there would be no farming if there was no drinking.
Exactly.
Interesting thing.
To be drunk.
So then he says that anthropologists draw a distinction between dry cultures and wet cultures, right? And in wet cultures, people are increasingly relaxed about alcohol. So, and these are like Southern Europeans. I don't know which African countries maybe we can call wet. But basically they're very relaxed about the time in which you would sip alcohol. You would sip it maybe even through the day. So it's not uncommon to be in Italy sipping limoncello the whole day.
At any point.
Right? However, you have dry cultures, which are the very opposite. And they're not dry because there's no alcohol. They're dry because there's strict rules around when people should be drinking. So being found to drink in the morning in a Northern European country, not so nice. Probably also in Kenya. You'd probably be frowned upon if you're trying to have a beer
At 9?
At
Yeah.
8 in the morning or 9 in the morning.
Who?
Oh, wow.
We will
Address that
come
later.
back to this.
Yeah.
Then you have like some in Ecuador, the Zumbagua,
Yeah.
who drink in order to communicate, like you said, with their ancestral spirits.
Yeah.
However, they also say that if you drink too much, that you throw up. This is not a bad thing, right? It means that the vomit becomes a food for the ghosts of the dead. Very interesting. And then he talks about early Christians and how they saw wine as a good thing. Now, modern Christianity, I mean, I think people sometimes tend to shun
The
drinking.
Yeah.
And, he makes a case of how Jesus provided it during the miracles. And in the Last Supper, the central rite of early Christianity was this communion, having a drink.
Yeah.
However, Paul had to come out and tell Christians
Yeah.
that communion is for drinking. It is not for getting drunk. And that's a distinction.
Yeah.
So they say you can drink a little bit, but not enough to.
But he actually
get
says in
drunk.
the book how people wanted to become Christians
Just
because
so
of
they
the
can have-
access to alcohol.
Access to alcohol, exactly, through communion, right?
Yeah.
And the New Testament doesn't ask us to abstain entirely, actually, from alcohol. Instead, we're told, drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities.
Amen.
Beautiful. Fantastic.
But not to get drunk.
Huh?
Did you hear that part?
2M. 2M. Now, guys, what I took home
You
from this
must have
book,
really enjoyed this book.
I love this book, especially the chapter on Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has a theory of why the Russian Revolution happened.
Yeah.
Now, in 1914, Tsar Nicholas II placed a ban on the sale of vodka in Russia. 4 years later, 1918, he was deposed. Him and his entire family executed.
Yep.
All right. Now, there's a theory why there was a revolution. Theory number one is because let me first say why he banned the sale of vodka. Vodka, apparently, when soldiers were fighting World War I, they lost all their battles because when they went to war, half the time they were drunk. So they lost all the war. So they were enjoying themselves when they should have been fighting.
Yeah.
But within the 3 years,
Yeah.
the population was so depressed, and it's because their throats had not been lubricated. So they had mounted so much anger that they thought, this guy has to go. The second theory is this, that within the 4 years, they were so sober that they actually realized how the regime was actually brutalizing them.
Oh, because they were sober.
Because they were sober.
Yeah.
They said also, before 1914, they were all drunk. Between 1914 and 1918,
The
they
soberest.
remained sober and they realized, this son natuchezea, we will fix
Things
him.
are bad.
Absolutely. But the story I also took home was this. There's a man called Stalin.
Yeah.
Now, Stalin, in 1925, when he had already taken the reins of power in Russia, he lifted the ban on the sale of vodka. Now, Stalin ruled using two things. Thing number one is an iron fist. Thing number two is booze. So he used to have, every single weekend, he used to have what you call dinners. So
Yeah.
he would summon his Politburo to the palace, and he would first give them food, and then give them a drink, and then another drink, and then another drink. Not because they didn't have a choice. They could not refuse. Now, he used to do this because of this. First, he wanted them to turn against each other, because when you're angry, you get a little bit violent, and then you start fighting.
When you're drunk.
I mean, when you're drunk. Now, he wanted them to fight against each other. But also, he wanted them to say secrets. You know, when you take booze, you have a loose mouth. And all.
Yeah.
So he gave them all manner of alcohol and
to get
booze.
them loose and talking.
And, yes. But all the time Stalin was watching them, he had a bottle of vodka. But do you know what was in that vodka?
What?
In that bottle of vodka? Water.
Oh gosh. So he was tricking
Smart.
them.
So he was watching them and he was filming them.
Yeah.
Just in case they said something, it was like, so that is happening. Okay, now you next. What is happening?
Makes sense. Wow. So on a day where we didn't have a winning headline, but we discussed tomorrow's headlines, we did have a winning cartoon from the Standard. I want to leave you with this. Drunkenness seems to be a heap of contradictions because it says yes to everything, but sometimes it is the instigator of violence and sometimes it brings peace. It makes us sing, but sometimes it makes us sleep. It's the joy of kings, but it's also their downfall. It's the solace of the poor, but it's also the cause of their poverty.
Yes.
But whatever you do this weekend, whatever drink you take, be safe. Have a good weekend. And subscribe to our channel. Find us on TV. We will be on GoTV, Pan Free to Air, and Star Times.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yes.